Good day to all of you. I hope every one of you is doing well and is safe. And now I will be discussing the module 2 of your subject, which is the analyzing business transaction. The objectives of this module is for you to be able to analyze the business transactions and its effect to the elements of the financial statements. You should also be familiar with the source documents that are being used as basis for recording business transactions. And also, you should understand the concept of the increase and decrease in an account. And then we are also going to discuss the basic accounting equation and then analyze the effects of business transaction in the accounting equation. So, accounting information system. As we have discussed in module 1, one of the definition of accounting is that accounting is an information system. So, alam naman natin that accounting provides quantitative information, which is financial in nature, wherein it aids with the decision-making of the users of those financial information. And as we know, sa isang negosyo, there are several transactions, many transactions. It depends on the size of the entity. Pero kapag malaki na yung entity, aasahan natin na marami silang transaction on a day-to-day basis. So there are ways, or there are two ways wherein the business cope with heavy loads of information. Those two are computerization and specialization. When we say computerization, we computerize for us to be able to do the accounting faster and to make it more reliable. Bakit siya magiging faster? Kasi there are certain procedures that can be skipped at ang mangyayari dito, ang magka-calculate na ay ang computer. And also, it will be more reliable because pag tao ang nagko-compute, it is prone to error. Unlike or compared to computer, that will do the mathematical computation. And then also the next one is the specialization. When we say specialization, it combines similar transactions to speed the process. So dito, ito ginagamit ito sa merchandising business wherein gumagamit ng special journals. Dun sa special journals na yon, dun na pinagsasama-sama lahat ng mga similar transactions para madali na yung pag-record ng transaction and at the same time, madali na rin ang pagko-compute ng mga transactions na under noong category na yon. Okay, and then there are also features of an effective accounting system. They are four. The first one is control. So in order for an accounting system to be effective, dapat they are properly controlled by the managers. Okay? Kasi nga 'di ba, yun ang one of the function ng managers. They control the operation of the business or of the company, or else the company will lose its focus. Ngayon, bakit ba tayo kumukuha ng accounting system? The purpose for doing so is for the process or for the process of providing the financial information to users na maging easy, na maging mabilis. So that should be the focus of the company. And the managers should make sure that yung objective na yun ay masusunod nga talaga. And then letter B is compatibility. So a compatible system is the one that works smoothly with the company's personnel and organizational structure. So kaya kailangan dito kapag mag-a-acquire ng accounting system, the management should evaluate if that system is compatible with the company's personnel. So kung hindi man familiar ang personnel ng company, ang ginagawa ng ibang kumpanya dyan, tinitrain nila yung mga personnel nila. And also, the accounting system should also be compatible with the organizational structure. Kasi nga, di ba, merong mga company na maliit pa lang naman, meron namang malaki. So, kapag maliit, so dapat yung accounting system, hindi rin masyadong madami yung personnel na i-require para siya mag-run. Okay? So, kumbaga, dapat it can be manageable and there are available personnel who will use the system. Kasi nga, lagi nating tandaan na even if you are using accounting system, it doesn't mean that human intervention will be completely eliminated. Okay? Because there are many things that computers still can't do. At tao pa rin ang dapat gumawa nun. So that's why the management should consider if that accounting system will be suitable for their personnel and then the structure of their organization. And then letter C is flexibility. So a well-designed system is flexible. So as we all know, that the only constant thing in this world is change. Diba? So laging nagbabago. So dapat the accounting system flexible din siya with the changes that will happen within the organization. And the last one is the good cost-benefit relationship. So, dito, ang titingnan natin, if we are going to acquire the accounting system, dapat balansehin natin the benefit that can be derived from it and also the cost that should be incurred in acquiring or maintaining that accounting system. So, dapat mas malaki yung benefit kesa sa cost na mai-incur. Kasi 'di ba, it will be useless if para lang masustain, napakalaki naman ng cost na kailangan mong ma-incur. So, hindi na rin tama yun. So, the rule should always be benefit over cost, which means benefit should be larger or should be greater than the cost that will be incurred in acquiring and maintaining the accounting system. We will now proceed with the components of a computerized system. So there are three. The first one is the hardware. So we are all familiar with that. These are the electronic equipments, which includes the computers, the disk drives, the monitors, and the printers. And then the second one is the software, which is the set of programs that drives the computer. It also uses the accounting software wherein it reads, edits, and stores transaction data. And then from the system, we can also generate the reports that are needed by the managers in order to run the business. And then the third one is the company personnel. So, ito napaka-critical nito when it comes to the success of the computerized system because employees should be both competent and honest. So, as we all know, a computerized system cannot function alone. 'Di ba? Kailangan pa rin mag-intervene ang tao because computers cannot analyze business transaction. So, sino ang gagawa nun? Ang personnel pa rin ng company ang gagawa nun. So, that's why the employees should be competent. When we say competent, the one that will be entering the data to the accounting software should know how to analyze, 'di ba? Should know how to analyze the transactions and also should know how to operate the computer software. Kaya nga, nagkakaroon ng mga training yan bago i-implement fully ang isang accounting software. The company trains the personnel that will be using that system. And then also, the employees should be honest. Bakit kailangan maging honest? Kasi nga, di ba, kapag hindi honest yung employee, maaaring ang gawin niya, i-mislead niya yung information. So, paano mo mamimislead ang information? That is by entering a wrong or a false data into the system, or by not entering a certain transaction. So, napaka-critical nito kasi kapag ganun ang nangyari, what will happen? The computer will process an incorrect or incomplete data. So, kapag kamali yung data, ano ang mangyayari? The information that will be provided by the software will also be incorrect or misleading. And as a result, what will be the decision of the users? The decision will also be incorrect. We will now compare the manual from a computer-based system. So basically, the difference of the two is more on the procedure that requires human attention. So as we all know, kapag manual, it is performed solely by human, or pwede rin naman gumamit ng computer, pero they are just using computer as a tool. But when we say computer-based, mas marami na dun sa process or sa procedure, ang gumagawa is the computer at hindi yung tao. Okay? Because some procedures can be performed automatically by a machine. Ang example na lang nito is ganito. Sa manual, yung bookkeeper or accountant ang gagawa ng lahat, which means from journal entry, to posting, to the preparation of the trial balance, to preparation of worksheet, adjusting entries, and preparation of financial statements. Unlike if computer-based, ang gagawin na lang ng personal dito is to enter the data. When we say data, the basic journal entry into the system. Lalagay niya lang ano ba yung i-debit, ano ba yung i-credit, and then some of the remarks or references that are needed for the transaction. Tapos, the computer na will be the one to post it to the ledger or to get the balances of each item, and then to prepare if you want to generate a report, you can generate it automatically. Okay, but then adjusting entries, it cannot be done by a computer because it requires analyzation. So, kailangan mong mag-analyze. Kailangan mong i-analyze yung effect or yung dapat mong i-adjust within the accounting period. Kaya, yung personal pa rin ang gagawa nun. Okay? So, that's the basic difference of the two. And also, here, the advantage lang of computer is that it can perform mechanical task with great speed and accuracy. Kasi nga naman, di ba, if you will imagine doing it manually, tao yung gagawa. So, human are prone to error. Kasi nga, di ba, we have emotions and then we are not perfect, di ba? So, unlike pag computer, it is programmed na gawin yung task na dapat niyang gawin. Lalo na when it comes to mathematical computation. Pwede niyang i-compute ng tama yun at a great speed and accuracy. So, hindi mo na kailangang maghintay pa ng ilang araw bago mo makuha yung report. Pagka computer-based yung system mo, agad-agad, it can be computed by the computer. However nga, like I said, computers cannot think. Hindi naman sila nakakapag-isip. So therefore, kailangan pa rin ng tao na mag-a-analyze ng business transaction. Okay? So without human guidance, computers cannot determine which event should be recorded in the accounting. So hindi nila alam if that event ba should be recorded, and if it should be recorded, paano ba siya i-record? Ano ba yung account na dapat i-debit? Ano ba yung account na dapat na i-credit? So, ang gagawa pa rin nun is the company personnel. And then, in manual system, lahat ng data na ini-enter ay handwritten sa journal. Okay? So, doon natin, that is the first book na kung saan i-record mo ang transaction. journal. Pero pag computer-based, ano ang kakailanganin mo? You will need keyboard and then some optical scanners, pwede rin, in order to enter the data into the system. Tapos, instead of using journal, saan na i-store ang mga data sa computer system? Diba? Dun sa tinatawag natin na, database. Ayan. So, alam naman natin, when we say database, it is the warehouse of information stored with computer system. So, kumbaga, in manual, ang may imagine natin, isang room na puno ng shelves, na dun sa shelves na yon may mga folders, may mga papel-papel. So, dun naka-store lahat ng data, lahat ng information. Ngayon, sa database, ito ay virtual. Dun naka-store lahat ng data na in-enter mo dun sa computer. Okay, the purpose of the database is to allow information that will be used by several different purposes to be entered in the computer system only once. Kaya nga, di ba, depende sa need ng user kung ano yung gusto niyang gamitin dun sa data na naka-store sa database. Kaya, ang na-avoid dito? Yung redundancy ng trabaho. Okay? Kasi kapag manual, kailangan mo, kunwari, ako accounting department, kailangan ko yung information. So, kailangan ko pa rin yung data. Okay? So, i-input ko pa yun, ipaprocess ko pa yun. Pag kailangan din yung same information ng ibang department, ganun din ang gagawin nila. Unlike pag may database, nandun na sa database yung data. Okay? So, ang magkakaiba-iba na lang dyan is paano ipaprocess yung information based dun sa need ng user. And then also, computer can eliminate the need of copying and rearranging information. So, hindi na kailangang i-copy-copy pa, tapos i-rearrange mo pa kasi nga nasa database na siya. And then also, it can perform yun nga mathematical computation and then it eliminate most of the paperwork. So, hindi naman totally mai-eliminate na ang paperworks, but it can eliminate most of them. So, however, they do not eliminate the use of accounting personnel. Like I said kanina, kailangan pa rin ang intervention ng tao because the personnel or the human, they are the one who analyzes the business transaction and then they are the one who analyzes it based on the generally accepted accounting principle. Also, the manual process is the oldest and most traditional form of accounting system. Okay, so dito we have the physical events, the resources, and personnel, and that characterize the business process. So dito sa accounting natin, ang gagamitin natin dito is manual, hindi computerized. Kasi nga, you cannot appreciate the computer-based system unless you went through or you understood how it should be done manually. Okay? So, merits in studying the manual process model. The first one is that learning manual system helps establish an important link between the accounting information course and other accounting courses. Okay, so kailangan talaga is manual process muna kasi nga dun mo maa-analyze kung paano ba siya nakalink, okay, the information doon sa iba pang mga accounting courses. And also, second, the logic of business process is more easily understood when it's not shrouded by technology. So, marami pa rin namang ganon. Siguro, yung mga kabataan ngayon, they are much at ease using the technology when it comes to their daily routines or sa mga ginagawa sa buhay. But then, mahalaga pa rin yung alam mo yung manual process, okay, ng accounting and even sa business. Kasi nga naman, mas makakapag-focus ka dun sa detail. Kasi ang nawawala sa technology pagka ginamit mo na yon is yung detalye. Kasi nga 'di ba, yung mostly yung computer na yung gumagawa. So hindi mo you can really see the details kung paano ginagawa lahat 'yon. And then finally, manual procedures facilitate understanding internal control activities. Ayan, yung segregation functions, supervision. Ayan. So, kailangan yan. Kasi pag sa manual, dun mo siya makikita. Yun yung tinatawag, pagka medyo malalim na term na to, yung tinatawag natin na audit trail. Okay? Pag sinabi nating audit trail, makikita mo paano ba ginawa, paano ba nagkaroon ng financial statement, sino-sino ba yung mga involved dito, meron bang nasunod na internal control, process or activity, nagkaroon ba ng segregation of functions, mahalaga rin kasi yan. Kasi nga, as we all know, the information that is provided by accounting is used in making decision. And it's also used to assess the performance of the company or of the management. And most especially, ang information na involved dito ay pera. Diba? So, alam naman natin pag pera, napaka-prone to, ano yan, to fraud, to theft. Okay? Not like, hindi lang pera, pati na rin asset. So, napakahalaga na maintindihan ang manual bago mag-computerized. Okay. So, what is a business transaction? So, dapat maintindihan ninyo to. Kasi, hindi lahat ng events, okay, not all events can be considered as business transaction. Okay? So, these are the events that had some effect on the resources of the firm or on the resource or on the source of firm's asset. Dapat may epekto ito sa resources ng firm. Okay? Hindi may epekto dun sa owner. Okay? I will recap. We have the business entity concept wherein the entity or the affairs of the business is separate and distinct from its owners. Okay, so ang point of view nyo dito ay laging nasa point of view ng business and not the owners. Okay, so i-break nyo yan ha, baka kasi minsan iniisip ninyo na involve yung owner, so automatically that is a business transaction. No. Ano bang example niyan? For example, the owner paid the tuition fee of his son. Sa tingin ninyo, business transaction yan? Involved ba ang entity dyan? Di ba, hindi naman. But then, if ang nangyari, the business owner paid the tuition fee of his son, and then the cash that he paid for the tuition fee comes from the fund of the business. Yan, involved na yun dyan. So, ibig sabihin, the owner used the money for personal use. So, mako-consider na siya as withdrawal. Okay? So, madidiscuss pa naman natin yan further. So, there are two kinds of transaction. The first one is the external transaction, and then the second one is the internal transaction. So, napakadali lang niyang ma-distinguish or ma-identify. When we say external transaction, these are transactions between a business and an outsider. Anong example nito? For example, yung bumili yung company ng office supplies from National Bookstore. So, National Bookstore is the outsider. Okay? And then, when we say internal transaction, these are the transactions that happen within the business that do not involve outsiders. Example niyan, office supplies being used daily in the operation of the business. So, sino ba ang gumagamit ng office supplies? Ang gumagamit are the personnel or employee of the company. So, that's why it is considered as internal transaction. Also, we have here the source document. Ano ba ang source document? These are the evidence of transaction that describes the essential facts of the transaction. So, napakahalaga ng source documents kasi nga, when you analyze a transaction, dito mo siya ibe-base because nandito sa source document yung detail. So, ano ba yung mga example ng source documents? There are the receipts of cash paid, Okay? Pag may binayaran ka, yung resibo nun. Kaya nga napakahalaga, di ba? Na pag bibili ka o mag-a-acquire ka ng isang bagay, dapat humihingi ka ng resibo. Okay? Because that is your source document. And also, yung mga cheque, yan, checks written or received, the bills that are being sent to customer, and also bills na nare-receive from suppliers. And then we have the cash register tapes, yung mga sales tickets, and then yung mga notes given or received. When we say notes given, these are, this can be notes payable or notes receivable. We will now proceed with the analyzing of business transaction. So this is the first step in the accounting cycle. And also, in order to generate financial reports, dapat ma-analyze mo na syempre yung transaction. And then after that, after analyzing the transaction, it should be recorded. And then after ma-record, it should be summarized. And then from the summarized report, dun na natin ma-generate yung financial statements. Now, there are suggested procedures on how you should analyze business transaction. And these are the following. The first one is identify the accounts affected. So maybe we can change that. It should be identify the elements affected. When we say elements, na-discuss na natin yan sa module 1, di ba? Pag sinabi nating elements. They are the assets, liabilities, owner's equity, revenue, and expenses. So, 5 lang yan. Okay? So, those are the elements. Now, for example, there is a transaction, i-analyze muna natin, ano ba dun sa mga elements na yun ang naapektuhan? Okay? And then, after we analyze the elements that are affected, the next one is to classify the accounts affected. Now, we need to identify what specific account is affected. Kasi diba, dun nga sa module 1, meron tayong mga nakalista doon ng mga accounts. For example, sa asset. Under asset, nandun yung cash, accounts receivable, diba? Nandun yung inventory, nandun yung prepaid expenses. Ayan. Kaya nga, diba, kailangan i-familiarize nyo yung mga yon kasi magagamit nyo yun sa pag-a-analyze ng transaction. So, pag na-analyze mo na, for example, asset nga yung affected, anong specific asset naman yung affected ng transaction? Yun ang kailangan mong gawin dun sa second step. And then the third step is you have to determine the amount of increase or decrease. Actually, dito, hindi nyo naman na kailangan pang mag-compute most of the time because the amount is already given. What you need to analyze is whether the effect is an increase or decrease. Kailangan yung malaman, nadagdagan ba o nabawasan yung account na yun. Okay, so don't worry, it will be explained to you by using illustrative problems later. And then the first one is to make sure that the accounting equation remains in balance. So, dapat yung accounting equation natin balance palagi. What is the accounting equation? That is asset is equals to L plus C or OE. That will be also discussed din naman further pa. So, these are the illustration in analyzing business transaction. So, ang pinakauna talaga dito is for you to read the transaction. Ano ba yung nangyari? Okay? Kaya nga dapat naiintindihan ninyo kung ano ba yung nangyari doon sa transaction. Katulad nitong first one. Okay. Ang sabi dyan, si Mr. John Lloyd daw ay nag-start ng kanyang business. Magkano yung kanyang ininvest? 500,000. Anong ininvest niya? Cash. Okay? Ngayon, what is the first step? You need to identify kung anong element ang naapektuhan. So, kung siya ay nag-invest ng cash, so, ang affected dyan ay asset. Diba? Ano pa? The other affected element there is the owner's equity. Ngayon, Anong specific account ang affected sa asset? So, here, meron na ditong answer. Ito, cash. Bakit cash? Kasi nga, di ba, nag-invest si Mr. Ruiz ng pera dun sa negosyo niya. Okay? Ano pa? Sabi natin, owner's equity. Anong specific owner's equity account ang affected dito? Ito, yung J. Ruiz Capital. Ito yung account na yon. So, na-identify na natin na ang dalawang account na affected ay cash and J. Ruiz Capital. Ngayon, the next step is to identify what is the effect, whether it is increase or decrease. Okay, yan. Analyze na natin. Sa cash daw, sabi dito increase. Sa tingin nyo, bakit increase? Dito medyo maraming nalilito kasi ang naiisip nila lagi ay yung side nung owner. Yung side nung nag-invest. Kaya naiisip nung iba, bakit nag-increase? Dapat nag-decrease kasi nagbigay ng pera si owner. So, wag kayong malito doon kasi dito, like I said, tayo ay laging nasa point of view ng ng owner ba o ng business? Okay, nasa point of view tayo ng business. That's why, nawala ng pera, nabawasan ng pera si owner, pero yung business nagkaroon ng pera. Kasi diba, saan ba nilagay ni owner yung pera? Dun sa business niya. That's why, the effect is increase. And also, dahil sa nag-invest si J. Ruiz, yung capital niya, anong nangyari? Nag-increase din. Siyempre, alam nga naman mabawasan, nag-invest ka na, nabawasan pa. So, increase din yun. Okay? So, ganun lang. So, tapos na. Mamaya pa yung yung last step wherein we have to make sure that the accounting equation is balanced. Next transaction, sabi dito, bumili ka daw. You purchased office supplies worth 5,000 pesos. So, ano ba yung element na affected dito? Dito, ang element na affected dito ay asset lang. Okay? Asset lang. Ngayon, anong account under asset ang affected? Itong dalawa na to. Office supplies. Kasi diba, bumili ka ng office supplies, and then cash. Bakit? Kasi cash ang pinangbayad mo, diba? So, therefore, what will be the effect of the transaction? Is it increase or decrease? Doon muna tayo sa office supplies. Dahil bumili yung company ng office supplies, anong nangyari sa office supplies niya? Bumili siya ng additional. So, nadagdagan. So, that's why it is increase. Ngayon, dahil ang pinambayad niya ay cash, anong nangyari sa cash niya? Nabawasan. That's why it is decrease. Okay? Next illustration. Returned office supplies because of defects receiving a cash refund. So, may defect daw yung office supplies, kaya ang ginawa, binalik niya. At dahil sa nagbayad siya ng pera, anong ginawa doon sa perang binayad niya? Isinoli rin sa kanya, ni-refund sa kanya. So, ano ba yung element na affected dito? Pareho ding asset. Okay? Anong asset yun? Given na rin naman dun sa transaction, di ba? They are office supplies at saka yung cash. So, ano nangyari sa office supplies? Ang nangyari defective, di ba? Sinoli mo. So, that's why what will happen? What will be the effect? The effect is decrease. Kasi nga, di ba, nagsoli ka, so nabawasan yung office supplies ng company. But then, upon returning the defective office supplies, you receive cash refund. Okay? So, what will happen to your cash? It will be increased. So, that's why the effect is increased. Madadagdagan yung cash mo kasi, di ba, sinoli sa'yo yung binayad mo na cash. Okay? Next, number 4, purchase office equipment on account. So, take note, when you read or you encounter on account sa isang transaction, it means hindi ka nagbayad ng cash. Anong ginawa mo? Inutang mo yung office equipment. Ayan. So, ano ang element na affected dito? Bumili ka ng office equipment. Ano ba ang office equipment? That is asset. Diba? Ano pa? On account. Binili mo siya, nangutang ka. Inutang mo. So, therefore, that is a liability. Okay? So, what is the specific accounts that are affected? The first one, syempre, obviously, it is the office equipment. Kasi nga, di ba, bumili ka ng office equipment. And then, the second one is accounts payable. Kasi nga, di ba, hindi ka nagbayad. Inutang mo lang. So, what will be the effect? The effect is increase. Kasi nga, di ba, bumili ka ng office equipment. So, nadagdagan yung office equipment mo. And then, accounts payable is also increased dahil nagkaroon ka ng utang. That's why it is increased. So, take note ha, hindi dito, walang rule dito na pag increase yung isa, dapat decrease naman yung isa. Walang rule na ganun. Pwedeng pareho silang increase, pwedeng pareho silang decrease, pwede rin naman na yung isa increase, yung isa ay decrease. Okay? So, anong kailangan mo talagang gawin? You really need to analyze the transaction para masabi mo kung nag-increase ba or nag-decrease. Okay? Next, number 5, issued check-in payment for the office equipment previously purchased on account. Ang nangyari dito, kung naaalala ninyo, di ba sa number 4, kanina lang, bumili daw ng office equipment on account. So, hindi niya binayaran, di ba? But then here in number 5, nag-issue na daw ng cheque as payment para dun sa utang na office equipment. So, therefore, wag niyo nang i-involve pa si office equipment. Kasi si office equipment, na-record na siya sa number 4. Okay? Sa number 5, ang nangyari kasi dito, nagbayad ka lang ng utang mo. So, that's why the elements that are affected here are liabilities and asset. What is specific liability? That is the accounts payable. Anong nangyari? Nagbayad ka, di ba? So, ano nangyari sa utang mo? Nabawasan. So, that's why it is increased. Ngayon, anong pinambayad mo sa utang mo? Siyempre, cash. That is the specific account. So, what is the effect sa cash? What will be the effect sa cash? That is also decrease. Kasi nga, di ba, pinangbayad mo yung pera mo. Okay? Next, number 6, paid office rental for the month. So, nagbayad ka ng renta. Yan. So, what is rental? So, this is expense. Anong pinambayad mo? Cash. What is cash? That is asset. So, that's why the specific accounts that are affected in this transaction are rent expense and cash. So, what are the effect? Sa rent expense, dahil nagka-expense ka, na-incur mo siya, nagamit mo siya, that's why it is increased. Ngayon, sa cash naman, dahil nagbayad ka ng cash, nabawasan yung cash mo, that's why it is decreased. Okay? Next number, si John Lloyd daw nag-withdraw ng cash from the business for his personal use. Yan yung sinasabi ko kanina. Ang mga personal use na sinasabi natin dito are expenses or disbursements that are not related with the affairs of the business. Okay? Anong mga example niyan? Pinambayad ng tuition fee ng owner, ng anak ng owner, o kaya naman ay kumuha siya ng cash kasi kailangan niyang magbayad ng electric bill niya ng owner, not the electric bill of the business, but the electric bill of the owner. Okay? So, those are personal use. So, that's why, what are the elements that are affected here? So, the elements that are affected here are the owner's equity and cash. And what are the specific accounts? Sorry, the elements that are affected are owner's equity and asset. So, what are the specific accounts? The specific accounts are, yan, J. Ruiz drawing. So, take note ha, under ng owner's equity ang drawing or withdrawal. And cash. So, what is the effect on drawing? The effect on drawing is increase. Why is it increase? Kasi nga, diba, the owner used the money for personal use. So, that is considered or classified as drawing. At nakadagdag yun sa drawing. What is the effect on cash? Because nag-withdraw ng cash yung owner, so nag-decrease yung cash ng entity or ng business. Like I said, Ang point of view natin dito ay nasa business and not the owner. Okay? And then, number 8, received cash payment from clients for services rendered to them by the business. So, nakatanggap daw ng pera from the clients dahil nag-render ka ng service dun sa clients. If you will recall yung accrual basis of accounting na diniscuss ko, okay? When you render service to your clients, automatically, you earned the revenue. That's why the elements that are affected here are revenue and asset. And what specific account? For asset, it is cash. And for revenue, it is service revenue. So what will be the effect? The effect on cash is increased because you receive cash payments from the clients. And then the effect on service revenue is also increased. Bakit? Because you render service, that's why you earned the revenue. That's why it is increased. Okay, next. Number 9, rendered service to clients on account. So, you encountered this before, di ba? Dun sa nagbili ng office equipment. Nakalagay din ay on account. Dito nga lang, hindi ikaw ang may utang dito. Okay? Ikaw ang may pautang. Kasi sabi dito, nag-render ka daw ng service sa kliyente pero on account. Ibig sabihin, hindi ka binayaran ng client mo. Hindi binayaran yung business ng client. So, what are the elements that are affected here? The elements that are affected are assets and revenue. What specific account? Accounts receivable. So, kanina di ba tayo ang may utang? That's why the account title is accounts payable. Because you are going to pay something. Kasi may utang ka, di ba? Now, tayo ang may pautang. Okay? Ngayon, pag may pautang ka, you are expecting to receive something, to receive a payment. That's why the account title is accounts receivable. Okay? And then, what is the effect on accounts receivable? That is increase. Okay, nagkaroon ka kasi ng pautang. And then, the other one is service revenue. The reason why service revenue, because you already rendered the service to your client. And what is the effect? The effect is also increase. Okay? Number 10, collected a receivable from a client. So, ang nangyari dito, yung kliyente mo na may utang sa'yo, nagbayad. Okay? So, what are the elements that are affected here? Asset lang. What specific accounts? They are the cash and accounts receivable. So, what is the effect on each account? On cash, the effect is increase. Bakit? Kasi 'di ba, binayaran ka ng kliyente mo, nakatanggap ka ng cash. That's why it is increase. When it comes to accounts receivable, it is decrease. Why decrease? Kasi nga 'di ba nagbayad yung kliyente, that's why yung pautang mo sa kanya nabawasan 'yun. Okay? So the effect is decrease. So that's the process on how you should analyze business transaction. Here, dito sa page na ito, dito lang pinakita the summary. The summary of the business transactions and how, what accounts they affected and how they affected each account. So, ito na lang yung pinaka-summary nung lahat ng diniscuss ko kanina. Okay, here, we will discuss the accounting equation. So, you encountered kanina, di ba? The last step is for you to make sure that the accounting equation is in balance. Now, what is accounting equation muna? So, the accounting equation is considered to be the foundation of the double entry accounting system. It is according to Investopedia. And then based on this double entry system, the accounting equation ensures that the balance sheet remains balanced. Okay, and each entry made in the debit side should be should have a corresponding entry on the credit side. That's why it is called double entry accounting. Kasi nga, di ba, pagka daw may debit ka, dapat meron ka ring credit. And then, in every debit and in every credit, dapat balance sila palagi. And this is the accounting equation. Okay, assets equals liabilities, and yung stockholders equity na ito yung tinatawag natin na owner's equity. Stockholders equity kasi ang ginagamit kapag corporation. Pero dahil tayo ay sole proprietorship pa lang naman, ang gagamitin natin dito ay owner's equity or capital. So, the accounting equation. So, ito na. The left side of the equation shows the asset, while the right side show who provide the funds or resources needed by the business. So, nakita natin, di ba, sa accounting equation natin, we have the asset equals liability plus owner's equity. Okay? Ang asset kasi, these are the resources that are being used by the business. Ano ba yung mga example niyan? Di ba? Yung equipment, yung building, yung land. Okay? So, you cannot operate a business without the assets. Ngayon, paano ka ba nagkaroon ng assets? Yun yung nagpapakita dun sa right side. Sino daw ba yung nag-provide ng funds or ng resources na kailangan sa business mo? Dalawa yung pwedeng mag-provide ng funds sa business. The first one are the creditors. When we say creditors, ito yung mga nagpapautang. Kasi 'di ba, hindi naman lahat ng nag-i-establish or nagtatayo ng business ay mayroong enough fund para ma-sustain yung business nila. Kadalasan talaga diyan, nag-i-incur sila ng utang. Nagkakautang sila from other person or other entity. And then, the second one is the capital. Pag sinabi naman natin capital, these are the funds or resources na pre-provide mismo ng may-ari ng negosyo. Okay? That's why it is capital or owner's equity. Okay? So, the amount and the composition of assets, liabilities, and owner's equity change as the business engages in economic activity. So, pwede yang mabago. Kasi nga, di ba, pwede, this day, nagkaroon ka ng utang, nagka-liability ka. But then, next week, yung utang mo, binayaran mo na. So, nagbabago-bago yan. When we say equity, it means the rights to properties. Okay? Pag sinabi nating equity, dalawa yan. There are two equities. Ayan o, there are two equities. The first one is the equity of the creditor. Pag sinabi nating equity of the creditor, these are the liabilities. Kasi nga 'di ba, ito yung claim nila, ito yung rights nitong mga to. Okay? Kasi may utang ka sa kanila. But then the other one is the equity of the owner. Ito naman yung mismong fund or resources na pre-provide ng owner. Kaya tinatawag siyang capital. Okay? So, the accounting equation, liabilities is placed ahead of owner's equity. Anong ibig sabihin yan? Ano ba ang prioritize? Mas priority daw ang liability na bayaran kaysa maibalik sa owner yung capital niya. Kasi nga, di ba, yung liability, ito yung mga third parties or third person or entity na nagtiwala at nagpautang sa'yo. So, therefore, dapat i-prioritize mo sila na sila ang mabayaran mo. Ngayon, kung ano na lang ang matira, yun na lang ang maibabalik doon sa owner. So, these are the illustrations on the effect of transactions in accounting equation. Yun na nga yung sinasabi natin kanina na dapat balance. Okay? So, ito, unahin natin ito. Si Mr. Medina. Okay? Siya ay magtatayo ng negosyo. Ang pangalan ay Medina Graphics Design. Okay? Kailan daw niya tinayo? Noong March 2012. Now, ito yung nangyari dun sa business niya. March 1. Okay, nag-deposit daw siya ng 350,000 sa bank account nung Medina Graphics Design, nung negosyo niya. So, therefore, nakita ninyo, meron tayong asset, liabilities, at saka owner's equity. Okay? So, kanina nga, di ba, diniscuss natin kung paano yung process ng pag-a-analyze ng transaction. So, ganito rin lang yan. So, ano bang affected na element doon sa transaction na yun? Dito, ang affected na element ay assets at saka owner's equity. Kasi nga, di ba, nag-invest yung owner ng cash. Ngayon, what specific account? Cash at saka Medina Capital. What will be the effect? The effect is increase sa cash. Bakit? Kasi di ba nakatanggap yung business ng cash, increase din sa capital kasi nag-invest si owner. So, makikita ninyo, liability, 0. No, wala. Kasi di ka naman nagkautang. So, therefore, sa accounting equation natin, sabi natin, asset equals liability plus owner's equity. So, ang asset ay 350,000. Ang owner's equity ay 350,000. So, pag tinotal mo yan, 350,000 din. So, therefore, ano yung napansin ninyo? Balanse. Balanse. Pareho yung total ng asset, pareho yung total ng liabilities and owner's equity. So, yun yung sinasabi kanina na last step. Okay. Next. Ito naman. Computer equipment daw bumili. Anong ginawa? Binayaran. So, nakita natin dito, di ba may balance na tayo kanina? Yun yung nauna natin. Ito yung transaction ngayon. Sabi dyan, 145,000 daw binayaran niya kasi yung computer equipment. So, ano mangyayari? Plus o minus? Increase or decrease? So, dahil nagbayad siya ng cash, decrease. Okay? Ngayon, saan niya binayad yung cash? Binayad niya sa computer equipment. At dahil doon, nagkaroon siya ng computer equipment. So, therefore, that is increase. Kaya pagkikwentahin nyo, 350,000 minus 145,000, ang balanse ay 205,000, di ba? Ngayon, nagkaroon dito, kaya yun din. Ngayon, pag-adin nyo yan, 205,000 plus 145,000, ano ang total ng asset? 350,000. Balanse, di ba? Kasi ang total ng liability and owner's equity ay 350,000 din. Okay? So, pagka mayroon kayong clarification, you can raise your answer during our online sessions. Okay? You can raise your questions, not answer. You can raise your questions during our online session. Okay, next transaction. Computer supplies daw, bumili, worth 25,000, but it is on account. Yan, utang. So, magkano na nga yung balance natin kanina? We have 205,000, di ba? From the previous one, 145,000. But then, nangutang ng computer supplies. So, nadagdagan yung computer supplies. So, ibababa lang natin to kasi wala namang nadagdag na transaction. Ito din, ito din. Then, we have to add the three of them. 205,000 plus 25,000 plus 145,000. So, the total is 375,000. Tapos, dahil utang, anong nangyari? Nagkaroon ka ng liability, accounts payable na 25,000. So, copy lang yan dyan sa baba. And then, we have capital of 350,000. Pag-adin lang yan, 25,000 plus 350,000. So, the total is 375,000. So, anong napansin ninyo? Balanse. So, tama pa tayo. Okay? Next. Ayan, nakakolekta daw ng 88,000 na cash. Bakit? Nag-design ng website sa 2 exporters. So, therefore, nag-render na siya ng service. At binayaran siya. So, alam nyo na to yung balance Ano na lang ang effect? Ang effect, nadagdagan yung cash at nadagdagan yung capital. At dahil dyan, i-add nyo yan, 293 na yan, bring down, kasi wala namang nadagdag, bring down again. Ito, bring down din. Ito, pag-a-addin nyo, 350,000 plus 88,000 is 438,000. Tapos, ito, total nyo ulit. Total yung tatlo. Yan, 463,000 and 463,000. So, nakita nyo, balanse pa rin ang ating accounting equation. Okay? So, hindi ko na i-discuss pa yung mga kasunod kasi ganun din lang yung process. Ang di-discuss ko ay sorry. So, yun na yun. Ngayon, pagka may questions pa kayo, tanong nyo na lang sa akin pagdating sa online session natin. I will announce doon sa ating group chat. Okay? Kasi ganun din lang naman yung process. Na-explain ko na rin kung paano yung kung plus or yung minus. So, in-explain ko na lang kung paano nyo siya ma-compute. Okay? So, these are the exercises. I will assign na the next assignment wherein you are going to do this. You are going to solve. Okay? Using the tabular like that. Yan. Yan. Kung yan ba ay plus or minus, so you have to compute na. Okay? And these are the references para dito sa aking lesson. So, that's all. So, pag may question, tanungin na lang sa akin sa ating online session. And keep safe palagi, mag-iingat palagi, and God bless.